many of the current financing vehicles are not well designed to support climate investing. It's basically that's not fit for purpose. Hi, my name is Ken. Born and bred Singaporean, graduated from NUS before entering management consulting. I did it for a few years before moving to tech, working in both Lazada in Singapore as well as Facebook in Dublin. And that's when I started to ask myself, what would I like to dedicate my working life to? And climate became one of the problems I'd like to solve. So that's when I pivoted into the MBA program in London, working with several different climate tech funds. Just before joining Vidacity, my last job involved investing in carbon credits, looking at different capital stack to support projects that are in the least developed countries. After that, I moved to Vidacity and currently in the investment team and supporting nature-based startups or any climate startups basically in their journey of fundraising. Explaining climate investing to a 10-year-old, I would say imagine yourself having a piggy bank full of money, and you can choose to use that piggy bank to buy a video game, Minecraft for example, or you can choose to give it to a company, and the company, for example, is capturing carbon directly from the air. And when the company does well, it managed to capture lots of carbon, it makes a lot of money, your piggy bank becomes bigger because the money comes back to you. And at the same time, because of the good that the company does, by reducing carbon in the air, we all live better lives. I think all three countries do place a heavy emphasis on climate investing. I'll start off with my home ground, Singapore. What Singapore taught me is that clear regulations and pro-business regulations do help startups thrive. They have a very strong clarity and understanding of where the business climate is and where the government is driving towards. For London, they are definitely much more mature when you look at the startup ecosystem with the deep capital markets and widely networked venture capital funds. Raising capital definitely is much faster when you compare that to Singapore. So the pace and the access to funding, it's definitely higher. Ireland, I think the power of networks and communities is really strong. So every city there is definitely a subculture of very passionate individuals coming together and finding their own solutions, and that helps to build the power of community. The unexpected skill is the one that I felt it was hardest to learn, which is human psychology. So the ability to understand how people are inherently motivated, and this answer differs from person to person. And I have to admit that I haven't mastered that art yet, to be completely honest. But I'm still a student in that field. The consistent ability, the high EQ, the ability to understand people and to work with diverse group of people would be, I have to say, the most important skill set. This is not from me actually. It's based on the conversations I have with very successful founders, and I think in my line of work, I have the privilege of meeting them directly. When I ask them the question like, what is the one particular trait you attribute your success to, I think it's the ability to listen. Some mention about the ability to listen to their teams, their customers, and be obsessed with their customers, and to dig to read between the lines as well. I think those are the traits that make a founder wildly successful. In my experience, one of the mistakes is raising too much money. So having conservative growth and realistic numbers and realistic projections, I think more often than not can guarantee their success. So don't raise too much money, try to expand the team faster than the startup founders and the management team is comfortable with. Listen to your customers and delivering value consistently. I think that is more important than trying to scale too quickly. But of course, this advice varies from startup to startup, from industry to industry as well, because there are some industries that you need to be monopolistic in order to do well, and for those industries, I believe scaling quickly might outweigh the benefits of scaling conservatively, but more often than not, scaling conservatively would be the better option. I need to caveat, I'm not a professional investment advisor, so take this with a pinch of salt. So this is, I'm answering this based on my own resources. So if I have my own resources, I think carbon credits is where I would put in money, not because it has the ability to give remarkable returns. I I think it's on the flip side, it might give very modest returns, similar to fixed deposit, for example. So nothing crazy. But why carbon credits? Because there are a lot of underfunded projects in the world, nature-based solutions especially, that have this positive cycle when you invest in nature, not just confined to climate impact, but to biodiversity as well, for example. And at the same time, carbon credits do have a lot of co-benefits that benefit the local communities and help them transition into a more nature-friendly sources of income as compared to deforestation or overfishing, for example. So if I had unlimited resources, I think those are the areas that I would divert some capital into. The biggest challenge is many of the current financing vehicles are not well designed to support climate investing. The time to develop climate tech takes much longer than the typical venture capital life cycle, the fund cycle, which typically lasts between 5 to 10 years. But sometimes some of these deep tech climate solutions take longer than that to see the returns. There aren't many evergreen funds out there that could support the volume of climate tech that's coming out at this point in time. So it's basically that's not fit for purpose. This is a little bit biased because I was investing in mangroves a lot and I see the value of it. So if I was reincarnated as a plant, I think I'll go with mangroves. So mangroves are resilient. They can adapt in many different conditions. I think that's what makes a good investor as well. And at the same time, mangroves protect the coastline and they can store a ton of carbon. So if I were to be reincarnated as a plant, I would choose mangroves.